Thank you for your interest in learning more about the proposed multimodal improvements for the intersection of US 6 and HILLCREST Drive. This video is 5 minutes and provides a summary of the proposed improvements. After learning more about the improvements, we invite you to complete a quick survey to tell us what is important to you, review the concept design documents in more detail, and provide any other comments you may have for the project team. Previous studies and public input collected by Eagle County identified a roundabout as the preferred alternative for the HILLCREST Drive intersection. This project is further defining options for the design of the roundabout at this location. We will be presenting two options as well as an evaluation of each option in this video presentation. Ultimately, this is your opportunity to learn more about both options and to tell us which alternative you prefer. Starting with option number 1, you will note that the proposed roundabout has 3 legs. However, it is being designed so that a leg on the south side could be constructed as warranted or as new development comes online. There are 10-foot multi-use paths on both the north and south sides of US 6, with the sidewalk continuing north to provide a connection to Lake Creek Village Drive. The feature to note on this alternative is on both the north and south sides of US 6, bicyclists have dedicated 5-foot bike lanes that are separated with a 3-foot buffer. Under this option, bicyclists would be required to take a lane and merge with through traffic through the roundabout or exit the buffered bike lane and use the multi-use path to navigate through the roundabout. This slide shows a rendering of option number 1 and provides a snapshot of what a roundabout at HILLCREST Drive would look and feel like. Features to note are the buffered bike lanes, crosswalks at the roundabout, and the continuous multi-use paths along both sides of US 6. This slide shows option number 2, which is nearly identical to option number 1 with a few exceptions. Rather than bicyclists having dedicated buffered bike lanes on the roadway, bicyclists would ride on the multi-use path or on the 4-foot shoulder adjacent to the travel lane. Now that you have an understanding of the basic differences between the alternatives, we will walk through the evaluation that was conducted to compare the two options. As you can see on this slide, both option 1 and option 2 meet the purpose and need identified for the project. Both options scored low on the ability for the improvements to reduce the risk of increased crash frequency and severity. Based on our initial evaluation, both options were recommended to move forward for further evaluation. After the Tier 1 evaluation, the project team conducted a second evaluation to assess the two options based on the following characteristics: safety, community character, equity, healthy environment, connectivity, mobility and traffic operations, constructability and implementation, and sustainability. As shown, both options resulted in a medium rating. As both options resulted in a medium rating in the Tier 2 evaluation, we want to highlight the pros and cons of each option. Option number 1, the roundabout with buffered bike lanes, provides separate facilities for all modes, providing a safer and more comfortable environment for all users. However, option number 1 requires slightly more right-of-way acquisition and impacts more properties in the project area than option number 2. An additional consideration for option number 1 is that the ongoing maintenance costs will be slightly higher due to the need to maintain the pavement markings for the buffered bike lane. Option number 2 minimizes right-of-way acquisition and impacts to property owners, which may result in a lower project cost than option number 1. However, option number 2 requires that bikes and vehicles share the roadway, which minimizes comfort, safety, and mobility of all users. Ultimately, both options are feasible, so this is when you come in. We need you to tell us what option you prefer and will best meet the needs of the West Edwards community. After you close out this video, be sure to scroll down to complete our brief survey to tell us which option you prefer and to share your ideas through the Start the Discussion tool. This wraps up our overview presentation about the proposed improvements and alternatives for the US 6 and HILLCREST Drive intersection. The PDF file of this presentation and the concept design files are also available if you're interested in reviewing the materials in more detail. Don't forget, after you close out of this video, to scroll down and complete our brief survey to tell us which option you prefer. Thanks again for your time and participation. Your input is helping to shape the future of West Edwards.